far behind Trump among women. Whether she can close the gap in New Hampshire may determine how much of a challenge she poses to Trump on Tuesday night.
Now, Nikki Haley has said that she wants to do better here in New Hampshire than she did in Iowa, where she came in third place, more than 30 points behind former President Trump. And over the course of the weekend, she's going to be barnstorming the state, of course, with the goal of trying to make that aspiration a reality. Victor, Amara.
Kylie Atwood, thanks so much. Joining us now is Juliana Bergeron, a member with the Executive Committee of the New Hampshire GOP and a member of the New Hampshire Federation of Republican Women. Thank you so much for being on with me. All right, so both Governor DeSantis and Ambassador Haley agree this is a two-person race. Undeniably, the other person in those equations is Donald Trump. They disagree on who the second person is. Do you believe that this is a two-person race?
I do think at this point, particularly here in New Hampshire, it's a two-person race. It's between Nikki and Trump.
And do you think that the former ambassador is building momentum that could make this a contended race, that she could win this instead of coming just close?
I'm not sure if she can win it, but New Hampshire is completely different than Iowa, and I think she had a lot of Trump had a lot of evangelicals there, and here I think she is beginning to pick up more independents that are allowed to vote, Republican or Democrat. I think it'll be closer, and I think she's still gaining ground here.
The former president has said several times that Democrats, in his characterization, are going to infiltrate the Republican primary. Of course, registered Democrats, cannot vote in the Republican primary. Only the undeclareds can. The breakdown here, 344,000 registered as undeclared, 270,000 registered as Republicans. The governor says that just before the deadline to switch party registration, about 4,000 Democrats moved to undeclared or Republican. Do they play any significant role here, considering those numbers?
They always play a significant role in New Hampshire. The Republicans, either the Republicans or the Democrats, can't win an election without pulling the independents in this state. So they'll be the deciding factor here, I think.
But to the extent that
we're likely to come over to us than to come over to, at this point, there's not, a real race on the Democrat side. So more of them are going to be voting Republican this side. And I think more of them will be voting for Nikki. I think she's picking up, Chris Christie's people. And I think she has a greater following here in New Hampshire than she had in Iowa.
Yeah, that's about the 344,000 undeclared. But when the former president says that Democrats are infiltrating the Republican primary, your reaction to that characterization?
Yeah, no, I don't think that's true. I don't think that's true. I think it's another made-up story. I mean, I don't know how much we can believe of what the former president says anyway, but this is just another exaggeration.
He's got Tim Scott's endorsement now. Maybe makes a big difference in South Carolina. A popular sitting senator going around the state campaigning essentially against the former governor. How much difference, if at all, do you think it makes in New Hampshire that Tim Scott's backing Donald Trump?
I think very little difference. When Tim Scott came out with his position on abortion, I think most, particularly women here in the state of New Hampshire, knew he wasn't going to last very long in New Hampshire. I don't think he had a lot of following, people following him, and I don't think it's going to make much difference. It sounds to me like he's mostly trying to run for vice president.
If you cite Tim Scott's position on abortion as a reason that Republican women would not have supported him had he come this far in the process, former President Trump brags that he's the one who ended Roe. So what is his standing then with Republican women in the state?
I don't think his standing is great with Republican women in the state. I think he has the women that he had as part of his base. And I think it seems to me it's a group of older women. And I don't think he's gained a lot of women here. I think, when you listen to him and when you watch him and when you read the papers, it's hard to think of women flocking to Trump.
On the question of debates, the former ambassador said that she would not debate only Ron DeSantis. The next debate that she would engage in would be either with Donald Trump or, if she's the nominee, with President Biden. So CNN had to cancel its debate. And I believe an ABC WMUR debate was canceled as well. What does that mean to the voters of New Hampshire? Did they need to hear from these candidates again?
I think the voters of New Hampshire were disappointed. We generally have a WMUR debate. I am a member of the RNC debate committee, and we've been planning it for well over a year. I wish she had decided to debate, but I think that with Trump winning in Iowa, I think that the pressure's on, and he seemed to he said he would never be in any of the debates, and he hasn't been, and I think that's why she made that move. I think people are disappointed, though.
Yeah. I read a piece either yesterday or sometime this week in which the writer said that the New Hampshire primaries are a bust. You've got three candidates now who are still in the race. Essentially, Governor DeSantis has moved on to South Carolina. He's got his events there. Trump had one event last night. He's got one today, one tomorrow. Nikki Haley has four. Are you seeing the typical quadrennial whirlwind that you expect in New Hampshire, or is it feeling a little light this year?
I don't think it feels light this year. I think, Nikki's going to be here in my town later this morning, and she'll pack it. I think that there have been just as many events. I think that a lot of people want to think that it slowed down, particularly President Biden, who was afraid to come here, and that's why he started messing, or at least trying to mess with our primary. My number one job as the committee woman for New Hampshire was to make sure we maintain our first in the nation status, and at least on this watch, it has been, I think, a good primary.
Juliana Bergeron, I appreciate the conversation. Thanks so much.
All right, coming up, several Texas mayors say they are fed up with the hyperpolarization